Today, we're going to dig into a pretty powerful argument that the story we're being told about the energy transition, it isn't just wrong, it might be a dangerous illusion. So let's break down why the official plan might not really be a plan at all. Okay, so let's start with what the source calls the central illusion. We're told by political leaders that there's a viable plan for a clean energy future, that it's already in place, and the transition is humming along just fine. But is that actually true? Yeah, this argument does not pull any punches. It claims the official story isn't just a little optimistic, but that it's a fundamental misrepresentation of the monumental challenge we're actually facing. So, let's look at the real numbers. And here it is. This is the stark reality of where our energy comes from today. After decades of promises and investment, over 85% of our global energy still comes from fossil fuels. And wind and solar, for all the attention they get, they make up just 2%. 2. To put the scale of this challenge in perspective, hitting our 2050 net zero goals with just wind and solar would mean we'd have to build 50 times more capacity in the next 25 years than we did in the last 25. That's just a staggering number to get your head around. But the problem isn't just about the insane scale of building all that new infrastructure. The argument here is that we're actually facing two crises at the exact same time. And the second one, it's flying almost completely under the radar. This slide really illustrates that two-front argument perfectly. On one side, you have climate change. That's the environmental threat we all know about, right? But on the other is something called peak cheap oil, an economic threat that this source argues could cripple our society long before we've even transitioned. So the crucial point here isn't that we're running out of oil itself. No, the argument is that we've run out of cheap oil. Every single barrel from here on out is going to be harder, more technologically complex, and, because of that, way more expensive to get out of the ground. And that has huge consequences for our economy. So why does the end of cheap oil matter so much? Well, because our entire way of life, literally everything you see and do, is built on a foundation of cheap, abundant energy. We're completely addicted to it. And you can see it right here on this timeline. The correlation is just undeniable. The explosion in human population from less than 1 billion to over 8 billion people, and the incredible complexity of our society, it directly maps onto our increasing use of high-density energy, first from coal and then from oil. To really feel the incredible power packed into fossil fuels, try this little thought experiment. It sounds painful, but it really makes you appreciate the difference between what a tiny bit of gasoline can do versus what the human body is capable of. And here's the number behind that experiment. Just 1 gallon of gas can produce the same amount of useful work as 482 hours of continuous manual human labor. Think about that. It's basically a modern miracle that we've all come to take completely for granted. Okay, so if we can't rely on cheap fossil fuels forever, why aren't renewables like wind and solar just a simple, easy replacement? Well, it all comes down to a core technical challenge for any power grid: the difference between baseload and intermittent power. Think of baseload as the power that never, ever turns off. It's what keeps our refrigerators cold overnight, our hospitals powered up, and just the basic functions of society humming along, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what the weather is doing. And then you've got the other side of the coin. This is the nature of sources like wind and solar. They produce a huge amount of clean energy, which is fantastic, but only when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. They are by their very nature not constant. They are intermittent. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. You've got your traditional sources like coal and nuclear. They're great for providing that steady, reliable baseload power. Then you have wind and solar, which are amazing intermittent sources. The key takeaway here is that they serve fundamentally different roles on the grid. So what happens when you apply this really critical distinction to our plans for the future? Well, it means we have to face some pretty hard numbers about the true role that wind and solar can actually play. So let's just run the numbers. Even if we go with the most optimistic projections for building out wind and solar, their intermittent nature means they can realistically supply a maximum of about 35% of our total energy needs by 2050. Now, that's a huge increase, for sure, but it's a long, long way from 100%. And this brings us to the final critical question. This isn't an argument against renewables, it's a challenge to look beyond them. If they can only solve part of the puzzle, the really crucial point is, what's the plan for the other 65%? And maybe more importantly, why isn't anyone talking about it?